What is going on, traders? It's Johnny here at Trader X. Thank you guys so much for tuning back into the channel today. It really does mean a lot to have your support every single day. But as usual, I want to go ahead and give you guys a day trading recap and let you know how my trading did go. And so as you guys can see from the screen, unfortunately today was a bit more of a decent sized red day, right? So I was down about $30 on TQQQ and another $90 on ticker symbol SQQQ, right? And so these are all my filled orders. You guys can see the timestamps here on the left. The quantity I was trading with, the ETF itself is here in the middle, and the price points are here on the right for your reference. But I'm going to go ahead and get right into the recap. So as far as what I wanted to talk about today, as usual, you guys know I like to talk about what I think I did bad today that made me end red and what I can improve on heading into the rest of the week, right? And so I think today I really struggled with finding clear direction, similar to yesterday, I would say, because as you guys know, yesterday the market itself, right, had a really nice sell-off. It consistently sold off all day. And where I ended up losing money yesterday was even though the pattern and direction was very clear on the day, right, I had trouble identifying which way the direction was actually going to go because I felt like at these lower levels it was very oversold the market, right? And the reason for that is if you guys take a look at it on a bit of a bigger time frame, what you guys will notice is before this drop here, we already had 2 days of significant drops. So at market open, I thought we were going to make a higher high, right? So this was yesterday and it ended up selling off, right? So you guys can see yesterday's recap or my video recap for that. As far as today goes, it was pretty much the same thing, I would say, that ended up making me lose money except the opposite direction, right? So as this thing pushed up very quickly at market open, right, what this indicated to me was one of two things. It can either start to rally on the day like it ended up doing, or it can consolidate around this area since it pushed up so quick and end up falling, right? And if I was looking at it on the bigger time frames as well, and before this big push, we were trading right around these areas, right? So as it pushed up quickly to top VWAP, I thought there was a chance we were actually going to see a drop, considering we have been seeing these lower lows and lower highs. But ultimately, that's not what ended up happening, right? As we can see, the market ended up soaring. Right at market open, it picked up a lot of volume. And then as this thing would break below the EMA, and then get rejected by it, I thought that we were going to start to sell off on the day. So I started to short the NASDAQ with the inverse ETF, ticker symbol SQQQ. And this thing would end up reversing. Right now, I'd have to cut losses. And then I would do it again where I'd see it getting rejected. It would reverse. I'd have to cut losses. And again, here, once more, it would reverse. I got in and cut losses. And then once more over here. So what ended up happening was at 11 o'clock, we did see a huge push on the NASDAQ, right around 11. And it's really important if you're trading the NASDAQ to try to understand what is causing this type of push, right? And so for all of you guys who trade the NASDAQ but weren't aware, today at 11 o'clock, the Federal Open Market Committee gave a speech, pretty much, where they were talking about inflation reports, right? And what ended up coming out was actually that the Jerome Powell, right, the Federal Reserve Chairman, he ended up saying that they were actually going to increase, right, inflation by 0.75%, right? And the reason why the market reacted so well to it was the fact that they felt like the Federal Reserve is being aggressive when it comes to combating inflation, right? So a 0.75% interest hike is the thing that they ended up implementing. And the reason why that's so important is as the interest rates get higher, right, it's gonna have people inadvertently spend, well, I guess indirectly, right? Indirectly, they're gonna spend less money shopping because prices are so high on everything. And so their thought is that by raising the interest rate by 0.75% of a point, that it's going to get people to spend less, right? So as interest rates keep going, the way to combat inflation in their eyes is to pretty much get people to be spending less by raising these interest rates. And so that is ultimately what we saw here, right? We saw the market have a positive reaction to the news, right? Because investors were happy of the fact that something's being done to try to combat the inflation, right? And so that's ultimately why we saw this positive, catalyst that caused this thing to uptrend heading into market close, right? And so it had a nice rally on the day. And as you guys can see, it ended up pushing up to highs of 12,690 before it got rejected and ended up falling, right? And so As far as what I think I did wrong on the day, well, it's pretty obvious, right? I was trying to predict the reversal. Same thing I did yesterday, same mistake, but I guess I didn't learn from it, right? And what I got from trading this week is if there's a big move on the day, right at market open, the chances of it ending up having a reverse is a bit slim given the fact that the momentum was headed upwards, right? So yesterday, as you guys noticed, I ended up losing money because the market did the exact opposite. It was selling off consistently, and I was trying to predict when it would reverse, right? So that's a big day trading mistake that I need to get to break the habit out of, right? Because I have a bad habit of doing that. And like today, for example, this thing pushed up, it became overextended, right? It struggled to really break above this area. And so that's why I saw value in SQQQ, but I did have to be aware that there was a meeting and it could potentially shoot the price up even more like it ended up doing, right? So it's very important to stay up to date with these types of meetings and stuff that come out, especially because they influence the Nasdaq a lot and the ETFs that follow, right? Ticker symbol TQQQ and SQQQ. As you guys can see, heading into market close, TQQQ was up quite a bit, right? So at market close, it ended up having a over 6% push right before it ended up pulling back a bit. So that is absolutely huge. And it just goes to show the type of movements that could happen with these types of reports, right? So that's why it's very important to stay up to date with them. In terms of my position on Tesla, what you guys will notice is it did make me almost $90 on the day, right? That's why I didn't take too big of a loss in my account size today. And so Tesla itself, right, was influenced by the Nasdaq. So given the positive news that came out, right, what ended up happening is the Nasdaq drove up in price, and Tesla, given the fact that it's heavily influenced by the Nasdaq market, right? Given that the Nasdaq is a composite of all the top tech stocks, what ends up happening is Tesla follows suit, right? So once the Nasdaq reported positively, we saw Tesla and a bunch of other, top tech stocks shoot up. So this thing was up over 6% on the day. It was trading at market open at lows of 787, shot up all the way to almost $830 a share. So that's good news on that side, right? So on the investing side, it was definitely some good movement today, as you guys will notice on the 180-day time frame of the Nasdaq. We are starting to make these higher lows and higher highs, so that's a pretty good sign. What I'm waiting for is a break above this resistance, right? A bit over 12,700 range for me to want to actually average up into Tesla. And once it does that, right, it'll be trading above the EMA on the longer time frames. And so my goal is to be into Tesla, average up once it does break this resistance, right? And then once I see a pullback and a bounce on the EMA like it did here, right? This thing broke above, pulled back and bounced. Once I do see a pullback and start to validate a bounce, that's when I'm going to average up, pretty heavily into Tesla and just continue to hold long term until, I see a change of direction or a break of pattern. But that's my game plan with Tesla in terms of swinging it heading into the rest of the months and years that lie ahead. And in terms of my day trading, yeah, I hope you guys did learn something new today in terms of trying to predict reversals, right? It can be very, very difficult to try to predict when something's going to reverse. So it's better to just go with the flow until the direction really starts to change, right? And one thing I would recommend you guys, if you guys are new to trading, is to not be afraid to look at the slightly larger time frames, right? So for example, I was losing money because this thing would break below the EMA and get rejected by it. And in my eyes, I was thinking this thing was going to start to sell off, right? But in reality, if I just took a step back on the 5 day, 5 minute, it really helps you to not get stuck in all of that choppiness, right? And what I mean is, what you guys will notice is on the 1 day, 1 minute, right? This thing breaks below the EMA multiple times, right? That's what made me think that we were gonna start to sell off on the day. But if I just took a look at the bigger time frames, like the 5 day, 5 minute, what you'll notice is it doesn't actually break below the EMA. It does over here in this area, but throughout the day, it wasn't breaking below this EMA. And so what that shows me is that the 5 day, 5 minute chart may have been a better representation of where the EMA line, like where the stock itself is going to tend to bounce off of, right? Because as I mentioned, the 1 day, 1 minute, 5 day, 5 minute, they all have different EMA lines. This one shows it was breaking below the EMA. 5 day, 5 minute shows it was still uptrending. So what I'm going to do heading into tomorrow is really just make sure to, you know, look at these bigger time frames if I do end up getting stuck in choppiness and getting stopped out a lot. And I also plan on just not trading when I'm not doing as well, right? So today I took probably almost 20 trades. I was probably green on only 2 of them, right? So after about the first 10 trades, what that could have showed me is today's not my day, right? I'm not doing the best today. And so it would probably be in my best interest to walk away and set alerts until some actual movement happens, right? Because this type of little choppiness movement, there is money to be made there, but it's a lot more difficult when you don't really know the true direction, right? I didn't know if this thing was actually going to continue to surge or sell off, right? So it maybe would have been better in this area where it's consolidating to really just give it time to indicate true signs of a direction, right? But that's everything I wanted to leave you guys with today. I hope you guys all into green and are enjoying the rest of your day today. If you guys are new to the channel, we really, really do appreciate you guys dropping a like and subscribing. It really helps us out a ton. But if you guys do have any questions at all or want me to break down a stock, just go ahead and drop a comment and I will go ahead and break it down in one of my next videos. But that's everything I wanted to talk about. I will be posting a recap tomorrow, so I will see you guys then. Take care and have a good rest of your day.